Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going deeper than the headlines, about the future of work, and we'll get into specifics about what you need to know to thrive in the next few years. We're using the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs Report 2025, their latest look at what over 1,000 employers are actually planning.
Yeah, and it's not just like looking into a crystal ball or something. It's based on 14 million workers represented. So it gives a pretty good snapshot of what's really driving change, not just hype.
Okay, so before we get into the details, like which jobs are hot and which are not, let's talk big picture trends. And this report says the biggest one is broadening digital access. Now, I know you might be thinking, oh, here we go, another tech takeover episode.
Right. But it's more nuanced than that. It's not just about working in tech. It's about how every job is becoming more digital. 60% of employers they surveyed said this would drastically change their business by 2030, more so than any other factor.
Okay, so what does that actually look like? For someone listening who maybe isn't a coder, how is this digital wave going to hit my job, even if I'm, say, a teacher or a chef or a construction worker?
Great question. Okay, let's take those examples. Teachers are already using online learning platforms, but this could mean even more personalized instruction, or even using AI to help assess student work. And chefs. Chefs are seeing new ways to manage inventory and sourcing, maybe even robotic kitchen assistants. And construction. Imagine using digital twins of buildings to improve safety and efficiency.
So it's less about becoming a tech expert overnight, and more about being open to how tech is changing the game in your field. But then, on top of this digital wave, there's the cost of living squeeze, which I think everyone is feeling right now. How does that play into the job landscape?
Well, it's creating a double whammy. Businesses are feeling the pinch, so they need employees who can do more with less, find creative solutions, and boost efficiency. And then on the worker side, certain jobs are becoming more vulnerable as companies look to cut costs.
So it's almost like a survival of the fittest situation for certain roles. But on a brighter note, one thing the report points to as a major opportunity is climate change action. It feels like, finally, going green is not just a marketing slogan. It's becoming a legitimate career path.
Absolutely. The report actually calls climate change mitigation the third most transformative trend overall. And it's creating entirely new industries and roles. We're talking about things like renewable energy engineers, environmental engineers, specialists working on electric and autonomous vehicles, all in high demand.
And it's not just those very specialized roles. I noticed the report mentioned that environmental stewardship is a skill employers are increasingly looking for, even in jobs that aren't explicitly about saving the planet. That's fascinating.
It makes sense, right? Companies are realizing that sustainability isn't just good for PR. It can be good for the bottom line. So even if you're not designing wind turbines, having an understanding of sustainability practices could give you an edge in the job market.
All right, so we've got tech changing everything, cost pressures making some jobs disappear, and green skills on the rise. Are you exhausted yet, listener? Because we've got two or more big trends the report highlights: demographic shifts and geopolitical fragmentation. Let's tackle demographic shifts first. Help me out here. What exactly does that mean when we're talking about the future of jobs?
It boils down to this. Different parts of the world have very different population patterns. Some places have aging populations. Others have a ton of young people entering the workforce. And that changes the skills needed at the industries that thrive.
Okay, so paint a picture for me. If I'm in a country with an aging population, what kind of jobs are going to be in demand? Is it just healthcare, or is there more to it?
Well, it's definitely more nuanced than just healthcare, though that's certainly a big piece of the puzzle. Think about it. With an aging population, you need more people to provide care. But you also need people who can manage and lead those care teams. So skills like talent management, teaching, and mentoring become super valuable.
That makes sense. You've got more experienced workers who need to be managed effectively, and then you've got younger generations coming up who need to be trained and mentored.
Exactly. And on the flip side, if you're in a region with a booming young population, you'll see a surge in demand for education-related professions, from teachers to curriculum developers to education technology specialists. It's all about aligning the workforce with the needs of the population.
So no matter where you are in the world, there are demographic forces at play that are going to impact the job market. It's almost like we're playing a global game of musical chairs. And the music is changing based on where people are living and how old they are.
That's a great analogy. And it brings us to our final big trend, geopolitical fragmentation. Now, I know this can sound a bit intimidating, but bear with me. It's not about taking sides. It's about understanding how global tensions and events can have ripple effects on businesses and the skills they're looking for.
All right, I'm all ears. Can you give me a concrete example of how, say, political instability in one part of the world could impact my job, even if I live thousands of miles away?
Absolutely. Think about cybersecurity, for example. As global tensions rise, so do cyber attacks. And that means the demand for cybersecurity professionals skyrockets everywhere, not just in the specific region where the tension is happening.
So even if I'm not directly involved in international relations or diplomacy, my job could still be impacted by events happening on the world stage.
Precisely. And it goes beyond cybersecurity. Businesses need people who can adapt to uncertainty, navigate complex situations, and think strategically about risk management. These are skills that become increasingly valuable in a fragmented world.
All right, so we've covered the 5 big trends shaping the future of work: broadening digital access, the cost of living squeeze, climate change action, demographic shifts, and geopolitical fragmentation. Phew, that's a lot to process. But this report isn't just about trends. It also gets down to the nitty-gritty of specific jobs. So let's dive into that. Which jobs are the winners and losers in this new landscape?
Let's start with the good news. The report actually lists out some of the fastest growing jobs, and it's a mix of tech-focused roles and those driven by sustainability and changing demographics. We're talking about fintech engineers, AI and machine learning specialists, software and applications developers, renewable energy engineers, environmental engineers, and even delivery drivers.
Wait, delivery drivers? Really? I would have thought that with all this talk about automation, those jobs would be on the decline.
It's actually quite interesting. The report highlights how the rise of e-commerce and on-demand services is creating a huge demand for delivery drivers, at least in the short term. It's a reminder that even with all these technological advancements, there are still roles that require a human touch.
That's a good point. Technology isn't always about replacing humans. Sometimes it creates new opportunities. But let's face it, not every job is going to be a winner in this new landscape. So what about the jobs that are on the decline? What should listeners be aware of?
Well, some of the roles that are seeing a decrease in demand include bank tellers, data entry clerks, postal service workers, and secretaries or administrative assistants. These are often jobs that involve repetitive tasks that can be automated through technology.
So it's not just about knowing which jobs are hot. It's about understanding the underlying skills that are becoming more or less valuable. If you're in a job that's heavily reliant on tasks that can be automated, it might be time to start thinking about how you can upskill or reskill to stay relevant in the job market.
That's exactly right. And it brings us to what I think is the most important part of this report, the skills that matter most in the future of work.
Right, let's talk skills. I'm ready to level up my resume. Give me the inside scoop on what employers are looking for.
Well, you won't be surprised to hear that tech skills are in high demand. We're talking about things like AI and big data, cybersecurity, cloud computing, and even just basic technological literacy. But what's really interesting is that the report emphasizes the importance of human skills, even more so than in previous years.
Human skills. What do you mean by that? I thought we were all going to be replaced by robots soon.
Not quite. While technology can certainly automate certain tasks, there are still many things that require uniquely human abilities. Think about things like creativity, problem solving, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, resilience, flexibility, and even curiosity.
Hold on. Are you telling me that my tendency to ask why a million times is actually a valuable skill in the job market?
You got it. In a world that's constantly changing, employers need people who can think outside the box, adapt to new situations, and come up with innovative solutions. Those are all qualities that are fueled by curiosity.
All right, feeling a little better about my future now.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic. Not everyone has these skills naturally. And even those who do might need to brush up on them. So how can listeners develop these human skills? Is it just about taking a few online courses, or is there more to it?
It's definitely a combination of factors. Online courses can be a great way to learn new concepts and tools, but it's also about putting those skills into practice. Look for opportunities to collaborate on projects, volunteer for new challenges, and seek feedback from mentors or colleagues.
It sounds like building these human skills is an ongoing journey, not just a one-time fix. But let's get back to the report for a second. It mentioned something about training and upskilling. And I'm curious about how that plays into all of this. Are employers actually investing in their workforce to help people adapt to these changes?
Yeah. The good news is, the report found a significant increase in employer-funded training programs. They're recognizing that they need to invest in their employees to stay competitive and keep up with the pace of change. But there's a catch. The report also found that access to these programs isn't universal. A substantial portion of workers, particularly those in lower wage roles, might not be getting the training they need to thrive in the future.
That's concerning. So it's not enough to just sit back and wait for your employer to offer you training. You need to be proactive, right?
Absolutely. Take ownership of your own upskilling journey. Explore free online resources like Coursera or ADX. Look into government-funded training initiatives. Consider professional certifications that align with the skills you need to develop. It's all about being proactive and resourceful.
Okay, so we've talked trends, jobs, skills, and even training. But there's one more elephant in the room, or maybe I should say AI in the room. It feels like every time I open the news, there's another article about AI taking over jobs. How does the report address this? Is AI really going to steal all our jobs?
It's a question everyone is asking, and the report offers some interesting insights. While AI is certainly transforming the workplace, it's not necessarily a job killer. Many employers are focusing on integrating AI into their existing workflows, which means upskilling employees to work alongside these technologies.
So it's not humans versus robots. It's more like humans with robots.
That's a good way to put it. It's about leveraging AI to enhance productivity and efficiency, but still recognizing the value of human skills like creativity and critical thinking. The report also highlighted the growth of entirely new AI-driven businesses, which are creating jobs we haven't even imagined yet.
Okay, so it's not all doom and gloom, but let's talk about the bottom line, literally. What does the report say about wages? Are we all going to be working for peanuts in this AI-powered future?
Actually, no. The report found that over half of employers anticipate increasing wages in the coming years. This is partly due to the focus on aligning wages with productivity and performance. It's about rewarding employees for their skills and contributions. And as we discussed earlier, there's also increased competition for talent, especially in those high-demand fields.
Now, it's a good time to be a fintech engineer or a renewable energy engineer.
Right? It certainly seems that way, but even if you're not in one of those specific fields, having a solid understanding of technology, sustainability, and those all-important human skills can put you in a strong position to negotiate a good salary.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground today, listener. We've talked about the 5 big trends shaping the future of work, the jobs that are on the rise and those that are on the decline, the skills that are becoming increasingly valuable, and even how AI is transforming the workplace. Before we wrap up, can you give us a quick recap of the key takeaways and maybe a final thought to leave our listeners with?
Absolutely. The key takeaway here is that the world of work is changing rapidly, but this isn't a time to panic. It's a time to be informed and proactive. Embrace lifelong learning. Be curious about how technology is impacting your field, and don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone to develop new skills. The future of work isn't predetermined. It's something we're all shaping together.
I love that. So it's not just about finding a job. It's about creating a future where work is meaningful, fulfilling, and adaptable to the ever-changing world around us.
Exactly. And remember, this report is just a starting point. The World Economic Forum actually has an interactive data explorer tool on their website where you can dig deeper into specific insights for your region and industry. It's a fantastic resource for anyone who wants to take control of their career and navigate the future of work with confidence.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us. And remember, the future is yours to create.